And take it away, Karen.
All right, Joey, thank you so much for having me again. We've done a few programs together now, so it's great to be with you all this morning on this beautiful fall morning. I hope you all had a good weekend and got to enjoy the weather a little bit. Um, so we're going to be talking today about questions you should be asking a retirement community when you're considering those. So before that, let me just introduce myself for a minute. So I've been a real estate agent. It'll be 16 years in December, and I specialize in selling the homes of longtime homeowners. And I teach classes, obviously through OPAL and also the senior centers. And I'm a preferred agent for many of the retirement communities and teach classes or give programs there as well, and sometimes the public libraries and anywhere else. People have asked me to do a class for their church or their community. So if any of you want me to ever do that, I'm happy to do it. There's no charge, of course. And my most popular classes, some of you may have been in a couple of the other ones, decluttering and downsizing and how to prepare your home for sale, what buyers are looking for kind of thing, some inexpensive freshening up ideas. And then this class, of course, retirement community options. Also how to interview a real estate agent. So I have some great questions you should be asking people when you are interviewing them to become your agent. And I will send Joey a couple of things to send you all after the class. One of the items I already sent him, this is a really great program coming up on October 18th. And it's a panel discussion with Miller's Grant, Charlestown, Vantage Point, and Fairhaven. And so I'll have representatives from all of those retirement communities, and I'll conduct the discussion and ask them all kinds of questions. So the audience is getting a ton of information about these four communities in one location. And you can also ask your own questions or follow-up questions. So that's October 18th at 1 p.m. at the Ellicott City 50 Plus Center, which is right by the Miller's Library. It's on Frederick Road. So that's the next one coming up. And you can reach out to me and always get on my schedule. I'll be planning my spring classes this winter. So I only have a couple of more classes coming up in the fall. And that's one of them. That's a really good one. What else? So that's enough about me. So I've noticed as I've sold homes through the years that it's really helpful to pass along information from my clients. So once in a while, I'll check in with them and ask, what questions do you wish you had asked? What should I definitely pass along to people looking into retirement communities? And I'll add those to this class list. I'm always trying to update it and just give you all the most current information. So, it's a major move to make, right? It's hard to know when exactly the right time is to move. So I applaud you all for looking into it and gathering information, and hopefully you have some time to take your time to make this big decision. It's again, it can be daunting and overwhelming to really decide when and where and how, and a lot of emotions and physical, downsizing and decluttering and just going through things, a lot of different things you're going through. So this class isn't about which one is better, it's which one may be better for you in terms of a retirement community. Please also feel free to ask questions during this program. You can jump in at any time. I'm happy to get some questions from you or an experience you want to share so that we can all learn from each other. So the two basic retirement communities are the CCRC, so that's Continuing Care Retirement Communities. They're now calling it Life Plan Community. And that's somewhere like Charlestown or Miller's Grant, and that's where you usually start out in independent living in an independent apartment. They have assisted living if you ever need that. They also have continuing care or memory care, nursing care if you ever need that. And then the other one is an independent rental continuum. and that's a retirement community like Brightview. So with the independent rental community, you usually pay less as an upfront fee, as an entrance fee, but you may pay more per month. And then with the other one, the life plan community, you're probably paying more to get in and less on a monthly basis. And they do, with the life plan communities, they usually do give a big chunk of that entrance fee back to your estate. Charlestown, for instance, is 90% that the family or the estate gets back when you pass away. So I really like the idea that even though it is hard probably to leave your house, that your house is a certain size and it's probably larger than where you're going to go. And I love the idea that even though your living space is going to decrease, your activity space is actually increasing. So you have so much at your fingertips. There's various clubs and restaurants and fitness centers. Sometimes there's a swimming pool. Sometimes there's a chapel or a place to see concerts or musical groups. Oftentimes, maybe there's a bank, maybe a hair salon, maybe a drugstore. All of these places that are right there on campus for you. So you walk down the hall and you have, great experiences because there's so much at your fingertips and you don't have to drive to a lot of the places. So I really like that idea of a retirement community. I wanted to show you this book called Downsizing the Family Home. I read this a while ago, and it's published by ARC. You can get this through Amazon, or you can get it at the libraries. And it's by Marnie Jameson, Jameson. And it's a story about Marnie moving her parents into a retirement community and kind of all the things that she went through and what they were going through. Lots of tips in there from various experts. And so one of the experts says, downsizing or moving doesn't have to be sad. It's a time when you can reassess what matters and choose to put around you what you enjoy the most. Moving out of your home and going to the right level of care or a maintenance-free retirement community can actually expand your independence and quality of life because you now have a smaller home to take care of and will be around people and activities that will stimulate you. So I love the idea of that. I think that it sums it up really nicely, and it doesn't have to be sad. It can be a whole new life for you. I have seen so many clients who, especially if they live by themselves, if your spouse is no longer here or you were never married, that they're kind of living a little bit more of a quiet, maybe lonely life, and then they move to a retirement community, and all of a sudden there's all of these things to do and people to talk with, and it's very stimulating, and you can see them just blossoming and really enjoying life. So I really like that idea as well. Any questions so far, or anyone want to share anything about talking to a retirement community? No? Okay. So let's go through some questions then. So of course, when you're choosing a retirement community or checking them out, you're going to be visiting them. So remember, if you're moving out of the area, make sure to check the places at various times of the year. And by that, I even mean a place as close as Ocean City. So, just because you can fly up and down Coastal Highway in the off season and go to restaurants and get there quickly, that does not necessarily mean that's going to happen in June, July, and August in Ocean City. If any of you are OC fans, it's very different because it's really crowded in the summer. So, if you're going to a place like Ocean Pines, where there's some over 55 homes, just maybe something that you want to check out. Same with a place like Florida. And oh my gosh, sounds like another terrible hurricane coming there. But in general, just because you love Florida in the off season, you know, you may not love the heat in the summer. So just think about that. Also, the maybe car insurance rates, check that out. So just things to think about if you are moving out of the area. So when you visit a community, I want you to notice everything inside and out. So, you know, you may go to a community and sit in the lobby and just watch the people coming through there. Walk the halls, just say hello to people and see if it's a friendly kind of place. One of my clients said, I'm so glad we spent time hanging out there before we moved. If the sales group is willing to put you up in one of their guest apartments for the night, take advantage of that. Have a meal there, walk around, talk to folks. So really great advice, because you want to, again, gather the most information that you can about where you are potentially going to live. So, you know, how did the staff seem to interact with the residents? You're going to pass a lot of people in the halls that are working there. So, you know, are they helpful? Are they friendly? Do they seem interested in the people there? Are there activity boards posted, and are they things that you like to do? That's important too. I do know that, you know, some of the retirement communities literally have hundreds of various clubs and classes. And sometimes the salespeople leave it up to the residents. And, you know, if a resident says, well, I really like collecting things about Catonsville history, for instance, they may say, feel free to start that club. So that's kind of nice too. So, you know, just because there isn't something that appeals to you at that minute, you certainly can put your own club together. So that's nice too. Does the community smell good, look well maintained inside and out? That's important too. You want to live in a place that's clean and that they're keeping up on things. Oh, I do want to say that I will have this worksheet of questions that I will send to Joey after our class. So if any of you wants this worksheet full of questions that you can actually use when you're talking to the communities, you don't have to feel like you have to jot down every question that I have here. One of the assistant directors at a senior center where I teach classes said this to me: check out more than just independent living. Talk with people who have loved ones in assisted living, rehab, etc., so you know what to expect if you have to transition to there. So, you know, they're very different staffs, of course, in various buildings, various levels of care. So try to feel comfortable with all of those various areas. How many people have started visiting places? Anybody want to put a hand up? Looks like you all are muted, which is okay, but any experiences anyone wants to share?
Yeah, I've been to visit Oakcrest and Brightview
Oh,
at this
okay,
when they offer one of their lunches or something for the day to come to kind of look and tour the facility.
okay.
And I mean, they were, of course, they're always at their best when they're doing something like that, but they were very nice. I was very impressed with them.
Oh, good, good. That's great.
Initially, I mean, it was just a 1 day visit, a few hours.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's great that you do that. And probably most of you are getting those postcards where it says, come join us for lunch. Just come join us for an open house. And it's great to do that. Sometimes, I don't know if this is what you experienced, Montgomery, but oftentimes if they sit you at a table, there'll be one person there will be a resident, a current resident, and you can ask that person a lot of questions. So that's kind of nice too. They do that pretty often.
Yes, that was the case at Oakcrest.
Okay, yeah, yeah. And that's an Erickson community, out in, it's White Marsh Parkville area, right?
Yeah, I was in the Parkville area.
Okay, okay, very good. Linda, did you want to say something? Linda Jones? Okay. Sorry. Yeah, but that's great to go and do those visiting, and it's I think it's wonderful when they do have current residents, so you're actually hearing it from them, you're not just hearing it from staff people. And none of the places are perfect. There's always going to be something, hopefully something small that you're not quite a fan of, but, in general, I find that the salespeople and the moving people that help get you situated, they really are very caring. They do want you to have a great experience there, and it's not just a job to them. It's kind of how I feel about real estate with working with longtime home owners. It's really become a passion of mine, very rewarding to help people who need the most help, because most of you probably haven't bought or sold a house in 40, 50, 60 years, and it's hard to know where to begin. And, I find the same with the salespeople that, they're very, very dedicated and have a lot of patience and are helpful to people. So that's, I don't know, it's comforting to me. All right, so here are some questions to ask the salespeople. So we all know that the kids and the grandkids don't really want the china and the glassware and the formal furniture. I'm sure some of you have been dealing with that a little bit. So one of the questions would be, so what services does the community offer for downsizing or decluttering? What kind of moving resources are available in terms of what they're able to do? So most of the retirement communities have dedicated moving companies that they work with. So they might have 3 that they prefer. And so they'll give you those names. You don't have to use them, but they'll give you those names. And those moving companies, they've changed so much through the years. So it used to be you would pack up your stuff, pack up your boxes, the moving company would come, take your boxes that are already packed, move them, and just put them in your new home. Well, now the moving companies are offering a whole host of various tasks they will do for you. So some of them will even sit with you and go through items in your home if you feel like you want them to do that, if you're not maybe physically or emotionally able to do that. Maybe you have so much stuff that you just know you're never going to make it in time in terms of getting into your new apartment unless you have some help. So they will sit with you, go through things. Many of them have a side auction company, or they'll use an auction house that will try to get you some money for some of your items that have value. They're not going to sell everything, but the items that they do think have value, they'll try to sell those for you. They will help pack you up. They'll actually do some packing with you, or they'll do it themselves. You can just sit there and say, I want this, I don't want that. And then they will take the items to your new home. They will unpack you, and some of them will even hang pictures on the walls, or they will set up your kitchen or put your bed sheets on the bed, all kinds of things. So you can say, I'd like you to do this, but not this. I'd like you to do this and this. I guess it's like a menu of choices. So that's really kind of neat that there are so many options now in terms of the kind of help that they can give you. So one of my clients said, I would recommend that you start to downsize as soon as you start thinking about moving. There are almost no places where you will be able to fit everything you have in your home. After all, that's why you are moving to a smaller place, to downsize. I use the organizer from the senior community where I moved, and it was well worth it. Having someone who is not emotionally attached to your things helps you look at your possessions more objectively. The person who helped me never told me to throw anything out or made judgments about what I was keeping, but she did make me think about whether I really had a need for something, whether I loved it, or if I actually had room for it. So that, very good advice. I think every one of my clients have said to me, this downsizing and decluttering and getting rid of things took much longer than I ever thought it would. And again, it's obvious why, because it's emotional, it's physical, it's daunting. I know that I'm very sentimental, so it will be hard for me someday to give things up. And I imagine I'm going to have to start very early because I don't know what I'm going to do with all my stuff. So another client said this: start early. Think of taking the items that will fit into your new home that you regularly use and that make you happy. For a variety of reasons, your children do not want your stuff. I cannot stress this enough. Your items, while precious to you, may not fit into your children's lifestyle, but don't be offended. Sell them or donate them to a great charity. It's not too soon to downsize, even if you don't plan to move right away. So a couple things on this decluttering part. Again, that's my most popular class. So I'll offer it again in the spring. So if you all want to keep in touch with me, I think Joey's going to put my information into the chat room. But I'll show you. This is my card with my number, and my email address, if anyone wants to keep in touch. So you have it right there. But anyway, it's a really neat class, decluttering and getting rid of things. So a couple things that have come out of that class. One of my clients said, I advise you to use that china now. Use your china and glassware. Don't save it for just a special occasion or for the holidays. Use it and enjoy it, especially if you don't plan to take that with you. So, while you have it, your place setting for 12 that you probably aren't going to need in your next home, go ahead and use it. Use it tonight for dinner. Have fun with it. I really like that advice. I have a donations list. It's a donations list, a donation/sell your items list that I've compiled from people that I'm happy to send you as well. And it's all kinds of things on there. It's not just Goodwill or Salvation Army. It's some unique things like how to get rid of your broken musical instruments, or who can use my all my towels and sheets, extra, maybe the towels that are a little bit worn. So the SPCA, for instance, would love to have those towels and sheets for their animals, because you probably don't need 4 sets of sheets and 4 sets of towels in your next home. I have clients who used to buy estate sale homes. So they would go in and buy a home, and the person had passed away, so the home was usually full of stuff. And so my clients were members of a church, and so they would get the church youth group to remove all of the items in the home, put them in the front yard and the driveway, and then the youth group would have a yard sale. And so they then would give most of the proceeds to the youth group to support them for taking all of the items out. So they accomplished 2 things. They got the house emptied, and they also helped the youth group. So, if you get to that point where you've had it up to here with the decluttering and downsizing, maybe of a youth group or a scout troop or somebody who would be willing to do that. And I like that idea too. Someone told me also that the American Legion in Arbutus takes medical equipment, lightly used medical equipment. But on my donations list, there's all kinds of places on there. Dave, you have that list, right? I sent that to you. I think I sent you that.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I just got back on. The dryer just got fixed. So,
You were right. It came with my touch. It doesn't matter. So, and we've talked about, what did I do with that? Oh, here it is. Talked about the fact that your kids don't want the items. So I'm going to show you, this is what I call the cardinal trick. And I use this at my decluttering class too. So you may have seen this before. So I love birds and I love cardinals. I don't particularly love this just because it doesn't fit in with my decor. But if you ever want something to stay in your family, this is what I call the cardinal trick, right? Like you said, the kids and the grandkids don't necessarily want some of our stuff. So I don't keep it for this. I keep it for this note on the bottom, okay? So this was found by my uncle when he was going through some of my grandmother's things. And there's a note on the bottom. It says, "For Karen, Aunt Mill bought this many, many years ago at Grant's on Lexington Street between Park Avenue and Howard Street." Anybody familiar with the downtown department store era? Just an old keepsake. I thought you might like it. I knew you would be the one who would appreciate it. Love, Grandma. So now I have to keep this forever and ever, right? So again, if there's something you want to stay in your family, you do something like this. And it's not the only item, Grandma, that has a note on it from her, but it's my little cardinal trick. And so I helped my mom clean out her home in Baltimore County many years ago. And she is and was a great housekeeper, but like so many of us, she had a basement. So, you know, what was in the basement? Let's see, Barbie dolls and letters from camp and school papers and my prom dress, my big puffy pink prom dress from 1984, encyclopedias, you know, all those things you never know when you might need them, right? So, you know, I've been going through that myself a little bit too. So one of the things I've been doing when I have items to give away is to put them on Facebook just to my friends, not trying to sell them. And you know, I have many things from my grandparents, and most of them I use in terms of the furniture or what have you. I was the kid in the 70s who would sit in the attic, my grandma's attic, with her on Sunday afternoons, and we would go through treasures, and she would give me things from my dad, like his marbles and baseball cards and all kind of cool stuff. But there were some things, of course, I never did use. So I had so one a perfect example, tea towels from my great grandmother that had hand embroidered vegetables and fruit on them. So I don't want to really, I'm not into ironing, so I never did use them. So I put them on Facebook and just asked my friends if anybody wanted them. And so it felt better to me than like giving them to goodwill to a stranger. I wanted someone to love them just because, you know, I had that association with grandparents. So one of my friends did want those, and so she used them as cafe curtains in her kitchen because they had the fruits and vegetables. So sometimes when you're thinking about getting rid of things, try to think out of the box a little bit, like who could use some of these items? You know, oftentimes, you know, you might have friends who have kids or grandkids who are moving into their first home, and maybe they need a kitchen table. Maybe they need, you know, that extra set of dishes. So it would be kind of cool to give them to somebody you know. So if there are some things like that that younger people can use, it never hurts to ask, I always say. So like I said, I do have that great donations list that I can send to you. I think there are 3 places for who would like your old books or just all kinds of things on there. Any questions so far? Anyone want to share an experience other than my new friend Montgomery? No? Okay, I'll be quiet group. I'll keep going. All right, next question. So what floor plans and views are available in the retirement community? So one of my clients said, I wish I had thought about how I was moving from a house with lots and lots of windows and natural light to an apartment with just 2 windows. Adjusting to not having much natural light takes a little while. So I can completely relate to that. I really love natural light. And one of the ways you can get that natural light is if you get a corner apartment. So, you know, it's a corner, you have windows here and you have windows here rather than just straight through. So think about that when you are visiting apartments. Is that important to you or not? My mom has been in a retirement community for, I guess it'll be 9 years, I guess, this coming spring. And to me, her apartment is a little bit dark. Now, she has told me it's none of my business, and she's perfectly fine with her apartment. But if natural light is important to you, just think about those kinds of things. When we went in there, when we first were looking at places for her, it was winter. She faces the woods, and it's absolutely beautiful. Lots of birds and deer, and sometimes a fox. And it was gorgeous, and all the light was coming through because there were no leaves on the trees. Well, it's a different story in the summer. Although the woods is very pretty, it's, you know, it blocks some of the lights. So just think about that at various times of year and how the apartment is situated, you know, is it facing east or west? If that's important to you. How customized can the community make the apartment for the new resident in terms of flooring or cabinetry? So oftentimes they will completely redo it for you, and you do have a say in what kind of countertops you want, what color your cabinets, what color do you want your cabinets to be? What do you want the flooring to be like? Do you want the vinyl plank? Would you rather have carpet? So make sure you get that question answered. If it's not important to you, you may be able to move in sooner rather than later. As you can imagine, it takes several months to totally redo an apartment for someone. One of the nice things that most of the retirements are, yes, Ellie, you have a question?
Yeah, is that all of the communities that would actually do some customizing of your apartment? I just assumed you just move into whatever was there unless they decide to renovate it.
So for the most part, they will redo it. So, and to me, that sometimes seems over the top. I don't know why they feel the need to redo it, but even if many of the apartments are not worn, they will redo them in some way, shape, or form. Excuse me. If you do find a place and they're saying we're going to redo it, I imagine if you said you don't need to, this is absolutely fine with me, it's probably going to be more inexpensive if they don't have to go to that trouble. But for some reason, most of them do redo the apartment. So that definitely a question to ask.
All right, well, thanks. I actually had no idea. I assumed it's like, here it is. It's like anything else. Like you buy a house, it's like, here it is. You want to do something, you know, then you can do it, or you have to ask or specifically or something. Okay.
Yeah, oftentimes they redo it. Yeah. Another thing's the moving consultant or a person from a moving company will come in and do a grid for you. So they'll visit you at your home and they will put together a grid. So you tell them the furniture you'd like to take. You know, I want to take my mom took her large dining room table. She made it fit. She took her hutch. She fit in you know, some other furniture, sofa, love seats. She wanted to take her tea cart from Ethan Allen, so that's there, even though I think it doesn't fit too well. If you know my mom, please don't tell her that I said that. But anyway, they will come in and do a grid on it. Essentially, they do it on the computer, of course, but it kind of looks like a graph paper kind of thing. And they will show you how your furniture can fit, or maybe, you know, you wanted to take this extra chair that might not fit too well, or it might feel a little crowded. So that's nice too, that they will actually do that for you, so you can have an idea of what you do need to get rid of versus what you can take with you without thinking, I hope this fits, or I hope that fits, or I think it fits. They will definitely tell you if it will or not. So that's a nice feature as well. Let's see. What are the parking options and fee, if there is one, and how long will I have to wait for a space? Also, do you offer covered garage or parking options? And if not, will the staff clear the cars for snow or ice if you have a doctor's appointment? So some people have said to me, well, if the weather's bad, I just won't leave. But you know, you never know. If you have a family wedding to go to, or a special birthday party, or church service, or you know, a doctor's appointment. I know sometimes that people think, well, parking's not going to be a big deal, and that they have parking right out front. Well, you know, a lot of the places have a lot of people living there, and some of the parking is spread out a bit. So you might have to get on a list, and you know, maybe 3 months down the road, they'll have a parking spot that's a little closer for you. And some of them do have parking garages, so ask for that too if that's something important to you. Let's see, what other transportation is available? So if you're relying on transportation, make sure you know the schedule. a lot of times, is free transportation, let's say within 5 miles of the retirement community. They'll take you to doctor's appointments or the grocery store or what have you. And then maybe there's a fee if it's farther out. I had clients that said we were leaving for out of town on Thanksgiving Day and thought we'd get a ride to the airport, but they were not operating the shuttle on a holiday. So if you are relying on that for holiday travel or, you know, a trip to the airport or what have you, make sure you know that schedule ahead of time. What meal plans are offered? So try a dinner there. How often does the menu change? And how well do they accommodate people with special diets? So a lot of questions there regarding meal plans, and that's important, right? Because we all like to eat for the most part, so we want to make sure we are going to have a place that has delicious, healthy food, and the menu does change once in a while. Someone said, a client said to me, can I get meals to go if I choose not to eat in a restaurant? And if I can't physically get onto an on-campus restaurant, is there someone who can assist me? So, you know, what if you have the flu or you're just getting over a cold and you don't feel like going out for the meal? How are you going to get your meal? So that's a question too. Or let's say, you know, you're perfectly fine now, but you know, you move in and a year from then you find out you have to have a knee replacement or a hip replacement. How are you getting your meals once you're back in your apartment? Who is there to help you? Another client said to me, I like the feeling of looking at a menu early in the day and thinking, what do I feel like eating today? And knowing that someone else is going to make it for me and I don't have to cook. I've heard that from so many of my female clients. I don't know about all of you, but when I was a kid and my dad came home from work at 6 o'clock, my mom had dinner on the table and that's what we did. A lot of the wives are maybe a little tired of that. So they are happy that someone else is gonna make some of those meals for them and they don't have to cook as often. Any questions or anyone want to share anything? I feel like I'm doing an awful lot of talking and you're a very quiet group.
So are there different so the different meal plans, is that like different numbers of meals a day or where you eat, or I'm not sure what they offer. I've never asked that question actually.
So quite often, this is an example, but they'll offer 20 meals a month or 30 meals a month. So people usually do breakfast or lunch on their own. Oftentimes I will say this, where my mom is, and she likes to eat for sure, but the portions are so large that she'll take her leftovers with her and have those for lunch the next day. So she doesn't really even have to worry about that. Or, you know, if that happens a couple of times in a row, she'll be able to freeze something. But I'd say 20 or 30 meal plan is pretty common in terms of what you can do. And a lot of times, if you go away for the weekend, let's say, or you go away for a week on family vacation or to go visit someone, obviously you're not using those meals. Well, you can then invite a friend over or a family member over once you get back, and they can use those meals that you hadn't used. So you don't lose them, or you don't have to lose them. You can actually share them with someone else. They don't all do that, but that's, I think, pretty common practice too. And then if you don't use them all by the end of the month, typically you do just use those. It's not like you get a rebate or something. Although I will say, I think with some of them, if you tell them ahead of time that you're not going to be there for, let's say, a week, I think they give you some kind of credit with that. So again, it's they're all so have, you know, so many individual rules, so many custom rules. It's just interesting to see the little nuances. So make sure you ask each one these questions and don't assume that they all run like this. Excuse me. That's again why my program on the 18th with the panel discussion is so helpful, because you can get more of an idea of what's the norm and, what variety or nuances some of the retirement communities might have. Yes, Ellie.
So sorry, so the folks that are coming on the 18th, are those all CCRCs or
Yes.
is okay.
We are, yes. Usually I have Brightview that joins this this panel discussion, and they are the rental continuum, but they're not able to make it this time. But on the 18th, we'll have Charlestown, which is in Catonsville, Miller's Grant, which is in Ellicott City, Fairhaven, which is in Sykesville, and Vantage Point, which is in Columbia. So
So do you ever have one with just the rental places?
well, other than Brightview, I don't really know of other just rental places. That's why, I kind of combine it. I will say this before I forget. This positive aging source book, I don't know if any of you are familiar with this or not. It comes out once a year. It used to come out once a quarter. It's really a great resource. Let me turn to a page here. So it lists every independent retirement community in terms of independent apartments, assisted living, and nursing home care in the entire state of Maryland. And they list it by county, and they give you the contact information, where it's located, the number of units, the starting monthly cost, and it's just so helpful. And then in addition to that, there's all kind of great articles. So I can send you a link to this if you want. Again, if you want to keep in touch with me, and when it comes out, I can send you the new one. Sometimes you can get this at the libraries, but I haven't seen it around much lately. But it's just a great resource that you can, it's a great starting point. I will say that, a great starting point to see who is offering what.
I think that's really helpful because I really don't have a clue unless you drive around or unless you live near something. I live near a Brightview, so I know they're there. But then that's why I asked them, like, I don't know who else is out there that
Right.
does rentals and that is not life care. So
Exactly. What area are you in, Ellie?
I'm in Timonium.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, there are a lot of I don't know about rental or not, but many retirement communities out there that are very nice. I did I guess that was at the Bicota Senior Center. I did a panel discussion out there. It was a couple years ago, but yeah, but anyway, a lot of places out there. But yeah, this is a wonderful book for that. To again, a great starting point. Because even if you Google retirement communities in Maryland, they're not all going to come up. It's not going to be a full list. So that's a really great place to start.
Right.
Excuse me, can you tell me the name of this publication? I didn't catch the name.
Sure, it's Positive Aging Source Book.
Thank you.
Sure, you're welcome. And
So
they,
Karen, I'm sorry. I don't know if you're going to get to this, but can you speak to maybe trying to figure out whether you want to go into a CCRC or whether you are, I don't know, better off, when maybe not the right word, but whether what would be better for you would be a rental type thing. It's a very personal decision. I just don't know if you had any guidance about that.
well, the main guidance I think would be, I mean, it's several things. So mostly financial, I would say, right? In terms of, do you have that big chunk? And I mean like $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 to move into what often is the cost for a CCRC. And then, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 a month in rent sometimes. So it's, it's a big chunk, but it, as I always say to my mom and other people, it's hard to put a price on social stimulation and activities. And again, all these things at your fingertips and meals included and no property taxes and, internet included and all of that. It's not dollar for dollar, but it just, as they say, it is what it is. It is what these communities cost versus putting down a smaller entrance fee which is typical of the rental continuum. But then a larger monthly fee. It's all in really in what you want. I will say in general though, and I love Brightview, they're really wonderful. They're a little smaller. So if it's kind of like, I feel like when I was picking out colleges, do you want to be on that small town college or do you want to be more at a university? And people typically have strong feelings about that. Sometimes they'll say, oh, that place is way too big for me. I don't want anything to do with that. And so they may want to be in a place where there may be a couple hundred people rather than a couple thousand people. So it's a very personal choice. And that's why it's great, again, to really do your homework, to visit, spend time there, go to things like this panel discussion and, hear what people have to say. So it's, hard for me to say other than that kind of guidance as to, which way we should go. I was going to say something else, but it left me. Let me look back for a second. I don't know what it was, but anyway, next question. Oh, I know. It was about this source book. So they also have a lot of podcasts and recordings of various programs. And oftentimes they're more for professionals, but they're going to be at the bottom of the page when you go to Positive Aging Sourcebook. But they'll have a panel of people who are talking about what to expect in assisted living care or many, many things. So again, great resource that you may want to check out. All right, let's what is the average rate increase? How often and how much does it increase with assisted living or nursing care? So you can imagine that's much more expensive because they are actually caring for you versus independent living in an apartment. If a spouse needs a different level of care, how do those finances work? And who decides or evaluates when the spouse has to move or should move? One of my clients said, while the financial person may have explained some things to me, there was a lot of information to take in, and there were some items that I just missed. One thing in particular is the credit for time away from my apartment. We just talked about that with the meal plans. I didn't understand how that worked until I called to check for a trip I was leaving for. Again, they give you a lot of information up front, but until you were here, I didn't really understand what some of it meant. I should have asked for more specific information. So, excuse me, I think to take care of this issue, please have a family member with you or a friend with you when you go to talk to the salespeople so that they could be another set of eyes and ears for you. Maybe they can take some notes. I know my mom has a hearing aid and she doesn't always hear every little thing. So, we all need help once in a while in our lives. And it certainly is okay to say, hey, would you mind coming with me to just make sure I understand all of these things? And, I don't care if you're 80 or you're 40, it's great to have, just somebody else there who can, and maybe even ask a couple additional questions. Do you ever run a special certain times of the year that would be more inexpensive than other times of the year to sign a contract to live there? And do you offer any type of bridge loan where I can pay the entrance fee to the community after I sell my home? So like I said, I'm a preferred agent for many retirement communities, so I'm very, very used to working with them to make a smooth transition into your next home. And many of the communities that I'm working with, they do offer a promissory note. So if you need the proceeds from selling your home in order to move into the retirement community because of the entrance fee, they will give you a promissory note. And it's usually for 90 days. And of course, your house will sell, certainly much less than 90 days. But it's nice that you can have this type of, bridge loan that gets you that, maybe will help you for a month or so until you get your house sold or, 45 days, whatever it happens to be. That promissory note is usually very, very low interest rate. So it doesn't end up being a big deal to have that. And it's nice that you don't have to wait until you sell your home in order to move. Is there a guest apartment available for rent if I have family members or friends from out of town? And what is the cost and how long can they stay? So oftentimes, let's say it's Christmas and you want to have your daughter and son-in-law and grandkids come in from California to see your new home, and they can actually stay there with you. Some of them do have apartments where people can actually rent them, and then you can just be down the hall from each other or the next building over. So I like that idea of being able to do that. And speaking of family members, are pets allowed? And is there an additional fee or size restriction? Now, I'm not ready to move to a retirement community, but when I am, I want to take this guy with me. This is my dog, Freddie, and he is named after Frederick Road in Catonsville. And I have a 30-year pact with Freddie. He's going on 11, but we have promised each other he's going to be around for 30 years. So I'm pretty sure I will be taking him with me. So and they have all assured me that Freddie can come with me. So that's good. He's in the bed right behind me. I'm surprised he hasn't popped up on my lap and wanted to meet you all for a minute, because he's usually like that. Ask about the cell phone service and check it out there, as well as the internet services. Living with slow internet service can be a little frustrating if you're not used to that. And I will say this, I'm going to add this to my panel discussion question. I've heard recently from some clients who have moved that they've had some internet and cable mishaps when they've moved into their new apartment, and they've been very frustrated about it. So I'd like to ask the retirement communities, is there a point person who is really, once you move in, trying to make sure these kinds of things will go smoothly? It's been hard for some of them to get an appointment, for somebody to come look at it. So I'm going to bring it to their attention and see, what they're doing about that kind of thing. Let's see. How about, is the community planning on any construction projects that might impact noise or parking? Some of the retirement communities have lots and lots of acreage, and they're just continuing to build or add on, but it can be kind of messy or loud, or even if they're working within the same building, how long is that going to go on? Will it impact my parking at all? Or parking for guests if they're coming? And then let's see, I'm wrapping up here. The last thing I want to mention is, in terms of this part of it, we'll talk a little bit about the current real estate market if you'd like to. Get on a waiting list, or consider getting on a waiting list for the retirement community. So let's say you have 3 of them in mind. For the most part, they will refund your money. So it's usually, I don't know, $1,000, $2,000 to put your name in, to get on that waiting list. Because if there's a certain kind of apartment you want in terms of the number of bedrooms, or again, maybe do you want that corner spot or not, or maybe you want to be in a certain building because you have friends who are in that building, or you want to be in this building because it's near the chapel, whatever your reason is. Maybe you want one with a balcony or a little screened porch, or you want the ground floor. So many options and choices with what to choose. So if you are being really specific about the apartment you want, you might consider getting on a waiting list, because it can take 6 months, a year, 2 years before that specific apartment comes up that you're looking for. So if you're on waiting list with 3 places, and an apartment comes up and you say, no, I'm not ready, and I'm probably about a year away, then that's fine. You stay on the waiting list, and when the apartment that you want comes up again, a similar apartment, they will again reach out to you. And if you decide, nope, I'm not going to this place, I'm going to that place, typically they will refund the money. Again, you have to ask them specifically if I'll pay it back or not. But I like that idea. We never know when our circumstances will change or our health will change and you're ready to go, or if a spouse dies, God forbid, and you don't want to be in your house by yourself, or you can't do the maintenance, you're ready to go to a retirement community. You don't want to then just start the process and they say, oh, you're probably about 2.5 years out before an apartment like that comes available. So is anyone on a waiting list? They want to share any story or example with that? Such a quiet group here.
We're, we're on a couple of waiting lists.
Okay, all right, thank you, Dave. And are they all refundable, Dave?
One of them is, yes, one of them is refundable less $200 and the other one is fully refundable.
Okay, very good. So there you go. So, for peace of mind, all you're losing, maybe if you don't choose that place, is the $200. But I think it's really smart to get on a waiting list. And a lot of people don't even think about that. They think, oh, well, I'll just call and I'll get this apartment. It doesn't work like that because there are a lot of people moving into retirement communities. So to really think about that. The last two questions, these are questions that I want you to ask friends of yours who have moved to a retirement community, who are already there. It's good to ask this because it's, don't just ask what they like or what they don't like. I want you to say, what would you change if you could? What would you change if you could in terms of where they're living? What do you wish you would have asked or known before you made a decision to live there? What do you wish you would have asked or known before you made a decision to live there? I think that's important because it just goes to show you, get that information, ask those questions, get down to the details. There's no reason you can't ask any question you want. You're paying a lot of money to move in there. And again, it's an exciting move, but it's also a big move. It's a big decision. So make sure you ask anything that is on your mind. My one client ended with this. It's a culture shock to move. We've moved several times in our lives, twice overseas. It's always an adjustment no matter where you move, but give it 6 months. We always end up feeling like this really is home and it feels good to be here. So I love that. So, they've moved a lot of times and they're very happy where they are now. And, but it takes an adjustment for sure, like anything else. Yes, Sue.
So one question I came up with was, how do you handle conflicts or difficulties with people? And it's very interesting to hear the responses. Some people have a very structured way or a defined process, which is good. They'll have a key person that handles a floor, or they'll have a committee. I like the committee, and some places will have like a social worker. And it's interesting to see how well the person you're talking to understands what, if somebody's upset about a dog or whatever. And for the most part, everybody I talk to says things work out. But it might take a process. But it's a good question to ask to make sure that the community has thought about that and has a way that they deal with it, just in case you have a problem.
I love that, Sue. I'm going to ask that. I just jotted it down while you said it. I'm going to add that to my panel discussion. I was going to ask you what an example is other than a dog barking, which I could definitely see as an issue. I obviously have a dog, but no way would he be allowed to bark or bother people or any of that. So I can totally see where, I come from the mindset that not everybody loves pets or dogs or want them coming up to them and sniffing them, or which I totally respect, but you know, some other dog kind of people may not feel that way. They think that, you know, their dog should be everybody's dog. But yeah, what other conflict? Do you have another example other than a pet?
No, I'm thinking maybe that a group was too loud or something, but no, I didn't get too many examples.
Okay, all right, like there's a party couple on the floor and they're always staying up all night and.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I'm looking for that place.
Yeah, really. Yeah, could you find out who they are and I'll move in?
Yeah, okay, I'm there. No,
Yeah,
I wish I could think of one. I can't think of one, but you know, there just are little things that bother people. And you know, it's just nice to know that there's a way to deal with it.
yes, definitely. I bet I can think of one without getting into this too much. If people are pushing maybe this side or that side in politics, I can see where that's
Yeah.
a good thing to do. Yeah, I know in some of the places, there's a little shelf outside of the door and people can decorate it kind of how they want, but you know, I can totally see if there's a Trump, something, or Harris something, that may not sit well with people. So it'd be interesting to see what they allow in terms of that or other things that would be a little controversial.
Right. But
Yeah,
I'd be interested in hearing what you hear.
yeah, I'm gonna ask that.
I remember I asked this question and we were with another couple who lived there, and the guy said, "Oh, there's no problems." And his wife said, "Oh, yes, there are."
Wife had the scoop, right?
Yeah, she had the inside scoop, right?
Interesting. Yeah. Other questions about anything we've talked about so far before we talk about the current real estate market? No one wants to share an experience? All right, well, we have a few minutes, I think, so just to talk about the market real fast. It's still a great time to sell a home. I'd say the last maybe 2.5 months, it's slowed down a little bit in terms of the length of time homes are staying on the market. So prior to this, for a while, we were getting multiple offers, over asking price. Buyers were foregoing home inspections, all kinds of things. I'll give you my firstborn if I can have your house. I mean, anything. So now, so they're staying on the market maybe a couple of weeks rather than a couple of days. I'm seeing that people are doing more inspections than they were prior. Still getting the prices, but maybe not way over asking or not as many multiple offers. So it's interesting. The interest rates did drop just recently, and we're supposed to get, I think, 2 more interest rate cuts. So that's going to help things in terms of increasing a buyer pool. So I think the spring market should be really good if these interest rates drops do happen in the next few months. So that will be really awesome. One of the things I always offer in my classes, I do this all the time, a free market analysis. So I come to your home and you'll walk me room by room and I'll give you some suggestions on freshening it up if you're looking for that kind of thing. If not, you don't have to do anything, but I'll ask you questions about how old are your appliances? How old is your roof? All kinds of things. And so it's a market analysis / home evaluation. Then I'll go back and do research on the computer, give you an idea of what I think we would list it for. Excuse me, if we were to list it now. And again, just some ideas that would appeal to usually younger buyers. But even if you're not ready to sell right now, it's a good thing to have me out and do that. And I do sell homes all over Baltimore County, Howard County, a little bit in Anne Arundel, and very little in Carroll County. But and I do live in Baltimore County, and I have almost my entire life. So just something to offer there. And then, let's see, my only other class coming up, before we go into spring, which will be a great thing. How to interview and choose a realtor when selling your home. So that's October 28th at 10 o'clock in the morning. And that's at the Catonsville Senior Center. So again, October 28th, 10 a.m. How to interview and choose a realtor when selling your home at the Catonsville Senior Center. And that's on
Former council member Johnny O. Senior.
Oh, I don't know what that was. And I'll start working on my spring schedule in the winter. So if you do want to get that, talking or have me out to your group or your church or what have you, and I can talk to them on anything related to real estate. Let's see, what else do I have here? Oh, and if you just have any general questions about, do you think I should do this to my house or that, or any general real estate questions? I love being a resource for people. I really do. If you need, an electrician or a painter or what have you, I have resources for all of that. What other kinds of things can I answer today related to real estate? Anything about inspections or appraisals or anything about the market or retirement communities? I'm here if you want to talk about anything at all. No? Okay. Well, I hope this was.
Oh, I have a question.
Yes, Linda.
If I wanted to get your donation list, how would I go about getting that?
So I will send it to Joey, but also here's my contact information. Can you see that?
No.
I have put her contact information in the chat.
Okay.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, everybody can see the chat? If not, the easiest is probably my cell. You can text or call me, and that's 410-218-0578. I won't go through the email address, but I certainly can give you that if you contact me. Any other questions or anything you all want to talk about? Quiet group, Joey. All right, well, I hope
Fine. It was all very informative. Thank you.
you're welcome. I hope it was helpful to you all. And if I can do anything at all for you, you just let me know. Feel free to reach out and we can talk further or meet or whatever you'd like to do. And I hope to see some of you on the 18th for this informative panel discussion. And maybe in the spring or even winter with Joey again, we'll talk. And
Absolutely.
hope you all have a good week and enjoy this weather. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.